Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman. And this morning from Chicago, we have Margaret Truesdale. And we just talked about the name of her firm. So I'm just going to say Hughes, Socol, HSPRD. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. Look forward to speaking with you. So before we get started, Latte with a Lawyer, just tell everybody what's your morning beverage of choice to get started.
My morning beverage is maybe an unpopular morning beverage, but I go for decaf coffee.
Nice. So you don't need the caffeine to get going.
No, it took me a while to adjust to decaf coffee, but I'm a much more serene person, I think.
Oh, good. That was a conscious decision.
Yes.
All right. Okay, good enough. Yeah. I'm not sure the caffeine really affects me. It's more like a habit, but it's definitely part of my routine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, good stuff. So listen, you practice law. Tell us what kind of law you practice, and hear about your firm.
Sure. So my firm has various different practice areas, but my practice area, and there are about a dozen attorneys in our practice group, we go by civil rights and employment. So
Okay.
we do a lot of class actions, could be race or gender discrimination class actions, or wage and hour class actions. And we also do some individual representation. I've had a couple of whistleblower retaliatory discharge cases that were individual representation, and a couple of disability discrimination cases that were individual. Yeah, and then I also kind of in the mix have some False Claims Act work as well. So it is a really varied practice.
Yeah. And on the plaintiff side, are you on the plaintiff side?
Yes. There will be a case here and there, that we might be on the defense side, but in general, our practice group is bringing lawsuits.
Okay, so. Very good. And is the firm as a whole plaintiff, defense, or mixed?
It's a mix. Okay. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, we have an immigration practice group, we have a med mal practice group, a personal injury practice group, insurance. So it's a mix.
Oh, okay, nice. How big is the law firm?
About 35 lawyers.
Okay. And still growing, or you're stabilized?
Gosh, I'm not sure what exactly the vision is, but I think it's been about this size, 35 to 40 lawyers probably for years, and I feel like it's a size that works for us. So yeah. I feel like the practice group, we grow, but very slowly. We don't hire very often, and sort of it's a very incremental process. So
a measured approach.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, good. Very good. Interesting. So, all right. So give me a case that sort of stands out that was really interesting and memorable that you worked on.
Well, currently, I guess
the civil rights is a really interesting area, obviously. Yeah.
I'm lucky to work on really interesting cases. This was a pro bono matter, but was so interesting and was very important. And I felt such an important issue and really honored to be able to work on it. My firm had been involved in the movement to end money bond in Illinois, going back years. I want to say six or 7 years. My firm actually filed a lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of money bond in the state, and that lawsuit kind of snowballed into a movement that resulted in legislation with obviously so many other advocates pushing for this effort, and it was just a real group effort, and the legislation eliminated money bond, and then there was a challenge to the constitutionality of that legislation that was before the Illinois Supreme Court, and I got the opportunity to work. My firm partnered with the ACLU to write the amicus brief in support of the end of money bond. And we had over 400 amici that signed on, and so that was just such an amazing effort, and we won. So
Okay.
our side won. The Illinois Supreme Court ruled that rejected the constitutional challenges to the legislation ending money bond, and that legislation is taking effect in September.
Oh, it's just recent law that's getting applied.
Yes, because the law was passed, and then at the end of last year, it was because of the constitutional challenges. The law was the implementation of the law was stayed
Okay.
until this could be resolved, and then now that it's resolved, they gave 60 days for implementation. So the decision was about a month and a half ago, and then in another couple of weeks, a few weeks here, it will go into effect. So.
Excellent. So you're going to have some citations where you can look your name up and you're going to be cited on that?
Oh, am I cited? Well, an amicus brief is funny because it's not typical, I guess, for a court to cite to the amicus brief. So you never know what impact it might have had. But I think we got some, regardless, about the impact on the court, I think we got some really important points across about the all of the studies that reflect sort of the positive effects that should result from the elimination of money bond, and I think we made some important points about the harmful effects of money bond, the discriminatory effects of money bond. So yeah, so that was great, and that sort of concluded, and in the best way possible. And then a current case that I'm working on that's been really interesting is there have been other cases like this around the country, where attorneys are bringing claims under the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, the TVPA, against detention facilities that detain civil immigration detainees through a contract with federal agencies. And so we have a case like that is against the McHenry County Detention Center, which is in Woodstock, Illinois. And so so basically the allegations in that case involve civil immigration detainees being forced to clean the facility, and in violation of the TVPA. So that case is pending.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So the cases that you're working on, are there damages involved, or is it more about just improving conditions or legislation? It's not,
Right.
are you receiving damages for your clients?
Yeah, I think your question is, how do you make money? So the bail case
Sort
was
of like that, yeah.
It was pro bono. So
that
we
was
just
okay.
completely pro bono.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the forced labor case, there are damages and attorney's fees provisions, and in our cases in general, unless we take on a case pro bono, which sometimes we do, there's fee shifting provisions, or we take it on a contingency basis.
Okay.
There is some hourly work that I do, which is severance negotiations for folks, executives and employees who are terminated or are looking at exiting their employment. And so that is typically on an hourly basis, but otherwise on a contingency.
Okay. So you do. Okay. Yeah. You get to go to jury trials? Did you do it?
I have not had a jury trial. Before I went into civil rights, I did. I had a brief stint as a commercial, commercial litigator, and I had an arbitration, but that's the closest I've gotten. Everything else has resolved short of trial, or remains pending. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that something you'd like to do at some point?
Yeah, it's funny. I've done so much mock trial.
Right.
So I do feel like I'm kind of rearing to go.
Good.
To a trial. I've done mock trials since I was a freshman in high school. So
was that right?
Oddly, I've done a lot of mock trials, but yeah, I think it would be really interesting, and I do feel like some of those same skills I utilize in depositions. but it would be exciting to get the opportunity to do it at a trial. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Getting on that stage, I would think if you're, trial attorney, that's like the pinnacle, right? You got to get in front of the jury to go through that. It'll be
Right.
a fun time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely something I'd like to get the opportunity to do.
Yeah. So okay. So you mentioned mock trials in high school. So that sounds interesting. Take us through your journey from then to become a lawyer. How did that happen?
I guess I kind of always thought that I would go to law school, because I actually, when I was in this program when I was in elementary school where they had us do mock trials based on fairy tales, and I was like, that's so cool. And they brought in some high school students to work with us, and we were like third graders, and so I knew that there was this thing, that high school students do this. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to do that when I get to high school, even when I was just like an 8-year-old. And then I got to high school and I already knew, okay, I want to do this mock trial thing. And my coaches were local attorneys. And so my mentors at that age were attorneys. And so it was kind of what I was exposed to and seemed like aligned, I guess, with my sort of natural skill set. And but then when I was in college, I wasn't ready to go straight through. I just sort of wanted to explore some other options. So I actually did Teach for America for a couple of years. I taught like a Spanish immersion first grade in Phoenix. I had the kids had dual language, like 50% English, 50% Spanish, but I did only the Spanish component of it. And I mean, I have so much respect for teachers. It was such a difficult job. And after I had done that for a year, and I thought, okay, I'm going to fulfill my commitment, but I'm going to get back on the law school track. And so, so I applied, and I did take one more year after I finished Teach for America, and I taught English in Spain for a year. And then, but by the time when I was leaving for Spain, I had already applied and had already interviewed at Northwestern. And I think pretty short into my tenure there, I found out, that I had been admitted. And so when I came back knowing like, okay, I'm going to be starting in the fall. And and that's kind of how I ended up doing the law school thing. It hasn't looked exactly what I thought it would look like.
Yeah.
I thought it would be more in person, more, public speaking opportunities. And it's definitely more of either thinking through things at my computer and writing and kind of strategizing, on calls and things than I had anticipated. But I feel like that suits me. The balance, I think, suits me pretty well. So
yeah, you mentioned that your skill set. So what is that skill set that you think you have or you need? Yeah.
That skill set. Oh, I think I do think like I'm a deep thinker in terms of like research and analysis, and I do like to write. I do like legal writing. I don't do I'm not a creative writer, but I like to write clearly. When I have a purpose, it's something I want to communicate. And I think in terms of working with clients, I feel like I do have, I'm not going to say I'm like the most personal person alive, but I do feel like I have some kind of natural inclination to I have an interest in people and a curiosity about people, and like to, get to know people and build a rapport. And then to the extent there is public speaking opportunities, like even I think a deposition, there's kind of that think on your feet, react in the moment, like keep your cool, like that kind of stuff that is sort of more like that public speaking kind of training from childhood, I think comes into play there. So I don't know, I'm tooting my own horn a lot, but
no, that's good. I'm just curious.
That maybe I have some
It's all about your tooting.
Some kind of natural leaning towards, yeah.
All right, now this is all about you tooting your horn, so keep tooting.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you questions that allow you to toot your horn. So yeah, no, I mean, listen, Northwestern is more of, it's technical oriented, right? The university as a whole. So it makes sense that, maybe you're more quantitative and technical in your approach. Is that true?
Oh, I don't know. Am I more quantitative and technical?
Well,
I
when
don't
you said like when you talked about your writing, it kind of reminds me of me. I'm an engineer
know.
undergraduate, and like I write, like I like to write the same way you described, right? As opposed to like, someone who writes a novel.
Yeah,
So I
I
can
think I'm
relate
more
to that.
structured, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
kind of a more structured thinker, and yeah, I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah. I can relate to that. But I think Northwestern as a whole, I mean, I know there's a lot of things you can do there, but it's a great engineering school. It's a technical professional school, and it seems to make sense to me. I don't know. Am I off base with that or no?
Oh, well, my sister also went to Northwestern undergrad with me, and she studied poetry and vocal performance, and
There
it's
you
like
go. Well, there you go. All right.
super, super creative
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so yeah. So I don't know that that's a Northwestern thing, but yeah, maybe more just personality thing. I
Okay,
don't.
okay. Interesting. Yeah. Any other lawyers in your family? Were there any other mentors that were sort of pushing you in that direction?
No lawyers in my family when I was growing up. My uncle, who was a widower, ultimately remarried an attorney, and that's the now. So now we have another one.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, I didn't have any growing up, so I don't know. I guess it was just from the mock trial exposure that I kind of got into my head that this seemed like a good path. So
Yeah, interesting. And you think what you're doing today, that's your calling and that's where you're going to stay with?
yeah, I think there are some. And well, if you're there's just some drawbacks to like the practicing attorney law firm life that sort of we all, there's downsides to like every profession, I think.
Yeah.
I think, there's like some burden and strain on people around hourly billing and I think some people feel like can feel overburdened, like with workload and things like that. I think that's sort of endemic in the profession, and
Mhm.
so I can get on my soapbox a little bit about that as something that I would love to see change and progress. Like that, you could be a really good lawyer for 40 hours a week. I think that is something really healthy and that I would love to see more of. But I think in terms of the substance of the work, I do feel like I don't know if I would say my calling, but I do feel like it's a good fit for me, and it's something I get to do things. I often get to work on things that I feel are important, and I feel really motivated and engaged, and so that's I think a good fit in that way.
That's important. No, no, I'm actually interested in hearing your thoughts about like ways to change things in innovation. I ask that question a lot. Like, for example, you have 3 years of law school. Should the third year be more of a internship, right, to make that transition to real law? You probably agree with that, maybe. Others have certainly told me they think that's a good idea, but I've never heard, I haven't heard people talk about the billable hours thing and trying to cut that down, which makes sense to me. You want to have some balance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at my firm, I think we have a lot better work-life balance than in most places, really. Like, compared to a lot of my friends and former classmates. But yeah, I think there could be more balance worked into the profession, and I think that would make the profession more inclusive too.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the 3 years and maybe put like including a transition period from theory to
Um,
practice?
Yeah, I haven't really put thought into that, but it seems like it could be something worth piloting. I I did when I was a 3L. I was in the clinic a lot, and so I got a bit of like a flavor of that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think it could be good. Well, I don't know. There is something about. I remember when I was going into my 3L year, I had an opportunity to be working part time at a firm that I had previously worked at. And I really thought about it because, like, boy, would have been a great opportunity, great firm, could have used the money. I was a student, but I thought,
yeah,
like, I'm only going to be a student for one more year, and I'm going to be a practicing attorney for the rest of my life. So even though it was like I was passing up a good opportunity, I thought I just want to do the school thing for, while I have it, because then it's gone.
Right.
So I guess I have mixed thoughts on that. I'm not able to make a decision right now, Jonathan.
That's okay. Just curious. I mean,
Yeah.
you just sort of, you suggested some innovative thinking around it. So I was just curious to get your thoughts on that, because I often ask that question. And it's interesting. I think people feel like, there's such a difference between like, case studies and, writing briefs and theory versus like the real world of practicing law. And that
Yeah.
transition can be it can be abrupt, maybe, for some people.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's true. And I think maybe as like a happy medium, I do think that like the clinical work is such a crucial piece of law school education, and I think it's an area where, to the extent my opinion matters, law schools should be, continuing to invest in their clinics, because I just think I learned a lot in my clinic, in terms of like just how litigation works, and also just important lessons like about, just in education generally, because maybe you get to work on types of cases that you wouldn't otherwise be exposed to. So I think it's really valuable.
Yeah. And you took a little bit of time off too, which is another sort of discussion, right? A lot of people go straight from undergrad to law school, and I think having a break is also helpful.
For me, I think it was really valuable.
Yeah.
I think, the downside to law schools, wanting students who've worked in between, is that, you graduate and you're 2 or 3 years older. And so sort of like, so in some ways you feel maybe like you're catching up a bit. But I feel like for me personally, I wasn't ready to go straight into law school. And I think taking time off in between, kind of like, can be a bit of a mentality with college, like, prioritize socializing, and, like I got good grades in college, but I wasn't like, oh, let me like, I don't know that I was as immersed in the materials that I was reading. It was kind of like, I have to do this for an assignment. I have to get this done, it was like the mindset. And then in law school is like a total reset button. And I was just like, I need to like immerse myself in this material. And I was also like, in my mid-20s, and like a full grown adult with no job. I was like, I better really do this law school
Right.
thing 100%, because like, this is what I'm doing instead of having a job.
Yeah.
So I think for me, like, it was a good, I wouldn't change it. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Good. You mentioned mock trials. What other technology does the firm use to become more efficient? I mean, you guys applying technology through the practice?
Oh, yeah. What technology are you using to become more efficient? Gosh. Well, I mean,
Besides Zoom,
I'm like
everyone
afraid to
uses Zoom.
answer this. Yeah, Zoom, obviously, Zoom depositions, that's
Yeah.
been a big change. Zoom hearings, obviously. I think there's like certain like tricks with Westlaw where you can like, do site checking type stuff, building table contents more easily, that we're incorporating. We've got like our document review platforms, kind of. I think like document storage wise, we moved to like this cloud-based system that is much more efficient. And
AI, you're talking about using AI like everybody else?
yeah, I mean, it's something that's like water cooler chat maybe, but not something that, and I'm not even aware if there's like any kind of reputable product, like AI for doing legal research or AI for writing a first draft of a brief. I know that that's something that people feel is imminent, but I'm not sure that there's a product out there, where people are actually using it. I don't know, maybe you're aware of that.
I mean, there are all kinds of sort of derivatives, Chat GPT, right? Where you get started. It's all about getting started, right? It's not that it might not be the finished product, but at least it's it's not a blank piece of paper. And then it helps you get started, maybe unlock some of that thinking. I mean, I
Yeah.
think those tools are inevitable. I think that it's really interesting. You see it being applied everywhere. So
I can see
yeah.
where AI is a starting point for, a research memo or a brief or something.
Yeah.
As a starting point, obviously, where, you double check everything could be something valuable, save time. Definitely.
Yeah. By the way, I'm not a lawyer, so
Well,
I
I
think
didn't know that, but you're in this state. You're in this. You serve. You work with lawyers, so you serve.
correct. Yes.
And you know about technology, so yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So I have to say many times, are you a lawyer? No. But I've talked to many of you lawyers, and I know how to ask somewhat intelligent questions based on the many conversations I've had.
Yeah.
It's really interesting stuff. I mean, I've said this before, but it's I think it's a really fabulous profession, and it's very strategic, and you're doing good work, and good causes, and particularly with what you're doing. So it's a noble profession, I think. So hats off to you.
Yeah, I've done right, I think. It should be. It should be.
Yeah. All right, good. Well, listen, just to round it off here, final thoughts you want to leave with the audience about you or your firm and the best way to connect.
Sure. Yeah, you can, if you can look me up online, Margaret Truesdale. If you Google me, you'll find my firm profile and my email there, and see maybe a little bit more about the types of cases that we work on. Yeah, I don't know. Final thoughts about me.
Just about your firm, like why do they want to, connect with you or do business with you? What's great about your firm?
I think that we have a lot of really just brilliant minds who are really committed to this type of work, and so it's just a beautiful combo of people who are like highly motivated, highly engaged, and really care about this type of work, and also like really really sharp because yeah, I just feel like we have kind of that great combo. So yeah, so if something comes up and you have an employment issue, hopefully we can either direct people to someone that could assist them or help them ourselves. So.
Excellent. Okay, good. All right. Well, listen, I'll let you go, but it's really been a lot of fun hearing about your kind of work you do. And for everybody, again, Margaret Truesdale, and again, I got to read your firm because I can't remember it, but Hughes Socol, HSPRD in Chicago. And you guys are all in Chicago, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And this is for everybody. This is sponsored by EmotionTrac, which is a legal tech platform, and we help litigators prepare for mediation and trials with our Insights platform. So thank you again, Margaret. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Okay. Bye.